as we were just talking about, there's a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to what is pushed up here in Washington, D.C. Consider this. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer announced that he's going to bring to the floor of the Senate tomorrow a bill called the Right to Contraception Act. Oh, well, yeah, that's fine. But it does a lot more. While Democrats fearmonger about contraception, these maneuvers provide a reminder of the left's true priority: abortion on demand until birth and usurping all the state laws that protect life. Now, we saw another example of this week when the Biden administration confirmed that President Biden would veto spending for veterans if the appropriations legislation does not satisfy the White House's agenda for both abortion and transgender procedures. Now, given the Democrats' extreme abortion agenda, how should pro-life legislators respond? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Dr. Andy Harris. He serves on the House Appropriations Committee. He is a member of the GOP Doctors Caucus and co-chair of the House Pro-Life Caucus. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Maryland. Dr. Harris, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Good to be with you again, Tony.
So there's always a lot more than meets the eye. So the Senate is going to be, in the wake of the Alabama case and the court case, so there's all this hue and cry about Republicans wanting to take away contraception. Never heard that, never seen that. It's never been discussed that I've seen. This bill, though, does a lot more than that. Talk about it.
Yeah, again, you're right. They create a straw man. They somehow think that somehow contraception is going to be banned somewhere. It hasn't been banned anywhere, and nobody's even talking about it. But they want to do a messaging bill. The problem is it's very broadly worded. I think it goes way beyond what most people think about as the availability of contraceptives. I mean, it's any possible device or drug. I mean, it's way too broad. It has nowhere it's going to go in the House. So it has no chance of becoming law. It's a purely political messaging bill. And again, it's a straw man. There is no one talking about, removing contraception availability in any state. But that's what the Democrats want to talk about. They don't want to talk about inflation. They don't want to talk about a broken border. They somehow want this entire election to be about contraception and abortion.
But hidden in their bill, as you pointed out, it's very broad. This, as I read it, would protect chemical abortion pills, making it a federal protection which could usurp the right of states that want to make sure that the health and care of women is not put at risk by selling pills through the mail.
That's absolutely right. Again, it all depends on the definition. It depends on what prosecutor is going to, what federal prosecutor is going to prosecute someone in a state for, again, some method of something that the state doesn't feel falls under this bill, but Merrick Garland might feel it does. So, again, it's a bad idea. It's a solution in search of a problem. Again, it's purely for political purposes. You have to be very careful when we do anything that's purely for political purposes here in Washington.
Well, let's come back over to the House side of the Capitol, where even today, debate on the House floor about the Veterans Affairs and Military Construction Funding Bill, and the White House already issuing a veto threat over this annual funding bill that funds our veterans if abortion is restricted or transgender ideology, these mutilating surgeries are restricted.
Well, again, Tony, the only restriction in that bill is a Hyde-type protection. It just basically says you can't spend VA funds to do abortions. I mean, that's like standard Hyde language in almost every single federal appropriations bill. It should be included in the VA bill. I worked hard to get that Hyde Amendment protection in the bill. With regard, again, most people don't think you should be spending VA health dollars to provide abortion. Government-funded abortion, just like they don't think it should be done by other agencies, other federal agencies or programs. With regard to gender-affirming surgery, I don't think a lot of Americans view that as a really high priority in VA health to provide gender-affirming care. And actually, I call it gender-denying care because that's really what it is. And again, it has no role in the VA. The president wants to hang up the bill on military construction, constructing, constructing barracks for our troops. Again, constructing important defense installations. He wants to, and the VA healthcare. He wants to hang that up because we don't think the Veterans Administration should be providing, gender-changing care. I don't think the average American goes along with the president on this one.
Well, the Hyde Amendment goes back to, I think, 1976, and it's had 80% of Americans support the idea that we shouldn't be using taxpayer funds to end the life of an unborn child. But it also speaks to the allocation of these resources. You have limited resources, and rather than provide care for veterans or build military installations, they want to fund abortion.
That's right. Absolutely. As you know, Tony, not every veteran is eligible for VA health care. I mean, there are priorities. I'm a veteran. I'm not eligible for VA health care because there are higher priorities. So when you spend money on, again, gender-changing care, you spend money on abortions, what you're doing is you're drawing that line to obtain VA health care at a higher level. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be marshaling our resources to actually allow more veterans to obtain health care from the VA, not fewer.
You're absolutely right. And I thank you, Dr. Harris, for fighting that fight on Capitol Hill. And thanks also for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Thank you, Tony.